Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of Wakeful Nights, a Japanese comedy from 2005. The website JFilm Powwow gives a nice summary of the film's introductory moments. Now, do not allow this plot synopsis to scare you away from the movie. Alright? An old man's apprentice asks him if he has any last wishes, to which the master mumbles that he wants to see a soso, which is the Kyoto slang for a woman's genitals. Devotion overrides shock, and soon the group of pupils are trying to find out where to find a willing woman to let this dying old man take a peek at her privates. All fingers point to one man whose young, beautiful wife is almost as devoted to the old man as his pupils are. Now, that's the opening series of events, but after the man dies, a small group of his relatives and friends gather at the wake and reminisce about the funny moments they experienced with him. Now, as you may have gathered from the aforementioned synopsis, Wakeful Nights is loaded with, I would describe it as raunchy and perverted humor. However, the character interaction is so positive and endearing that it does help to offset and balance out the vulgarity. So I actually think most viewers could make it through this movie without being offended. I do think so. And it's all in, the tone. This is not a westernized sex comedy, like something you would see from Hollywood. This Japanese film is also not as raunchy as some of the Hong Kong comedies that you may have possibly seen. And I'm thinking specifically more of Pang Ho Chung's films, such as Trivial Matters or Vulgaria. This is more even keel. Wakeful Nights feels like you're secretly spying on an authentic Japanese gathering. In this case, a wake of a deceased person. The presentation, however, is very informal, and I'm not sure how many wakes in real-life Japan are quite as crude with their dialogue as what we have here. But again, this movie still feels balanced. The story is structured like a series of vignettes, or like short stories, in the form of flashbacks. And we go back and forth. We go to the wake and the people having some fun, and then we go to these humorous flashbacks of this man's life. There are some genuine moments of emotion to be had, though. That's good. This is not exactly a deep movie by any means. The character development is pretty light, but the acting is solid, and this is a pretty fun comedy. The comedy is thrown in rather consistently from beginning to end, so it doesn't really take itself too seriously for too long of a period of time. Early on, the characters mention other dialects for the word soso, which include a word from Osaka that is a pretty hilarious English translation. The character reactions to this entire situation are pretty great as well. They all have a certain joy in celebrating this old man's life by telling stories about all of these odd, inappropriate moments that they experienced with him. And they also throw some shade at each other at times in playful ways. The big highlight, though, is this delightful and plentiful shamisen music that incorporates all kinds of filthy verbiage. Lots of old school Japanese singing is showcased during the second half of this movie. And even if you don't find the vulgar songs that funny, the vibe is really positive. I would genuinely like to hang out and party with these people. It just seems like a good time. Some truly hilarious surprises as well, which I will not spoil. So I would say, despite its naughty dialogue, Wakeful Nights has an engaging, positive energy to it. It's a nice little film. And now, at the very least, I know what the term honeypot means. But anyways, it's currently available streaming on YouTube, and it's also available on DVD. And as always, folks, I'll see you next time.